Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Daniel Thomas, Managing Director of Hammer Metals. Great to see you again, Dan.
See you, Dannika.
So last time we spoke, we were discussing the copper and gold discovery at Trafalgar. Since then, there have been some developments within the joint venture with Hammer's JV partner JOGMEC, selling their interest to Sumitomo Metal Mining. Can you tell us a little bit more about your new JV partner?
Yeah, Dannika, we're delighted to have Sumitomo Metal Mining join the JV. As everyone would know, JOGMEC looked to divest their stake on the back of a number of parties approaching them post the Trafalgar discovery. Sumitomo Metal Mining are a very large Japanese company. They've got investments in some 8 mines across the globe. They own and control 9 smelters. Very large company, some $17 billion in assets under management. Last year, I think they produced around 250,000 tonnes of copper metal. They've got a stated vision by 2030 to build that to 300,000 tonnes of copper production. And I see them investing in projects such as this JV with the goal of, I guess, getting them through to that production stage and contributing to that annual copper production.
The JV had success in the discovery of the copper gold deposit at Trafalgar earlier in the year. What are the priorities and plans for the JV for the rest of the year?
During the tender process, we've tried to keep activities going as best we can, whilst also preserving, I guess, some of the real upside in the project in the area. So the JV went back and recent drilling really concentrated around the Trafalgar discovery that we had. So exploring that at depth and along strike. But some of those targets we have along that sort of 2.5 kilometre trend of soil anomalies, some 4 kilometres of magnetics there. We haven't gone and tested some of those targets in the JV area, and I think that they are areas that the JV will look to exploit over the next 6 to 9 months. We're aiming to have another drilling program, obviously, this year at some of those targets. There's an area up around Secret and Shakespeare, which I've spoken about, a very large magnetic feature there, very close to Trafalgar, old copper workings. This whole area is quite fertile, and I think our recent programs that we've drilled on our own ground in Hammer's 100% owned ground to the north and to the west offer a bit of an insight into what might be along this trend and some of the opportunities that sit there. We're also ready to pull the trigger on some geochemical and geophysical surveys as part of that JV. So throughout this whole process, we have been in communication with both JOGMEC and Sumitomo Metal Mining and sort of formalising our exploration programs moving forward. So as soon as this JV's, I guess, wrapped up and finalised in terms of document execution, we'll be looking to commence those activities immediately.
And you mentioned Hammer's 100% owned prospects along the north and to the west of this trend. Can you tell us a bit more about your recent drilling there and your future plans for the area?
Yeah, sure. So the area to the north at Lakeview, so that's probably about 9 kilometres to the north of where Trafalgar is, just over the border into our own 100% owned property. Originally we drilled 4 holes there. All 4 encountered copper and gold mineralisation. 3 of them sort of anywhere between 8 and 18 metres of up to 2% copper and 0.3 to 0.4 grams per tonne gold. So some really solid grades through there over a 350 metre strike length. We were that encouraged by that original drilling. We went back and at the end of our drilling program, we drilled some more holes at that target, looking again to extend at depth and along strike. Those results are still unreported. And probably the area that excites me a fair bit is the area to the west at Neptune. So some really broad intersections there, 100 metres at 0.48% copper and associated gold sort of up to that 0.18 grams per tonne mark. And the other hole we drilled there was 66 metres at 0.32% copper, and again, some associated gold there. That whole region's probably only had 8 drill holes in it historically, and most have hit mineralisation. We're piecing together what's happening there in terms of the geology and the underlying mineralisation that may or may not be there. We're building that picture now, and I think that these offer some solid targets to go and drill test in the second half of this year. So we'll have further drilling around that Neptune prospect. We'll sort of bookend that into the JV drilling, if you like. And I think that whole trend is really offering some great news flow into the coming few months.
And when do you anticipate the unreported drill results from your recent program in Queensland to be available?
Yeah, Dannika, the labs have been a little bit slow, but I expect those results to be out over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So I mentioned before the Lakeview drilling. We also have we drilled underneath a high-grade gold rock chip sample at Calman West. So we added a couple of holes to the program there, as well as a deeper hole at Calman West. We drilled in close proximity to some of our previous mineralisation at Overlander. So again, I expect some copper numbers to come out of that drilling. And then we also did some drilling at targets at Serendipity. And of course, there's still the results to be reported out of the Trafalgar joint venture. So all of those samples are sitting with the laboratory. Results are starting to trickle through, and when they come through completely, we'll be in a position to release them to the market.
How do you see the copper price environment contributing to the future development of your projects?
I think you'll find, Dannika, that global grades of copper continue to decline. I think that there's these next tier of copper assets that get developed, and I'd like to think our assets in Mount Isa are part of that portfolio of assets that get developed into the future. And the other thing at the moment that's probably slipped under the radar of a lot of people, with that supply disruption out of South America, molybdenum supply has also been affected. And our Kalman deposit carries copper, gold, molybdenum, and rhodium. One of the high-grade molybdenum projects around the world. Current molybdenum prices have just crept north of $40,000 per tonne. So again, a little bit of a sugar hit because it's that supply side that's been affected. But I think when you look at developing projects in the longer term, projects such as ours through Mount Isa, Kalman, the likes of Trafalgar, Jubilee, Overlander, they're the types of projects that should be on everyone's radar as being the next set of projects that could potentially be production assets.
Well, there seems to be a lot going on. How would you describe Hammer's strategy for moving your Mount Isa projects forward?
Yeah, great question, Dannika. I think it's almost a dual strategy now. We've obviously got that 400,000 tonne of copper equivalent metal already under a JORC resource sitting within the portfolio. We've had exploration success at Trafalgar, Lakeview, Neptune. All of these are areas that can contribute towards that copper tonnage within the portfolio. I think at current metal prices, these are the types of projects that start to look to get developed. In saying that, I think we need to build more copper inventory and add to that 400,000 tonnes of copper equivalent metal. And part of our strategy is looking to do that around the existing areas and within 20 kilometres of that major highway that runs between Mount Isa and Cloncurry. That part of our strategy, I think, is set and underpinned by the success of those particular deposits. The second half of our strategy, we still have the aim of delineating a world-class Tier 1, Tier 2 major discovery, single deposit that becomes mineable. So that's probably the other half of our strategy. We sit there, we drill our best targets. Kalman West is probably an example of that, where we've got ideas on surface of what may or may not be there, but ultimately drill testing these types of targets, looking for those big deposits is what we're trying to do, and we'd love a standalone operation. But in saying that, we're balancing that out with building that copper inventory, and I think we've got a great head start on a number of copper explorers out there.
Well, last but not least, can you give us a quick update on the Bronzewing South projects?
Yeah, the Bronzewing South, our shareholders will know that we're well overdue for some results out of our North Aurelia program, Aircore program. We think we finished up there sort of early June. It's been a long time coming. I expect those results to be out any day now, and I've said that for a while. They're not far away, but the team have been busy interpreting a gravity survey that we had done at Bronzewing South at the same time. So we're putting the finishing touches on a program design there to drill a couple of targets to the south of the Bronzewing mine, literally just south of the old Bronzewing pit there on our tenure that starts less than 100 metres away from the old pit. Drilling there has never gone deeper than 100 metres. We'll be looking to test that at depth. We've got some theories on mineralisation based upon our work over there over the past 2 years. So I think a great geological target, and we'll be testing those as soon as we can secure a rig, which is easier said than done at the moment. But I'm hoping we get back on the ground there in September and complete a drilling program there. So watch this space on news from Bronzewing. Certainly, we haven't forgotten about it and we haven't walked away. There's still plenty to do there and some great targets. So look forward to sharing that news and news flow and results with our shareholders in the near term.
Well, Dan, it's been fantastic to speak to you as usual, and we look forward to keeping abreast of your progress.
Pleasure. Thanks, Dannika.